Getting ready to take on spring? Make your first move with the reliable performance and power of Steel battery tools. From hedge trimmers and mowers to string trimmers and more, right now you can save $50 on select battery tool sets. Real Steel. Offer valid on select AK system sets through June 16, 2024. See participating retailer for details.
Good sleep should come naturally, and with the new Natural Hybrid mattress, it can. A collaboration between Lisa and West Elm, the Natural Hybrid is expertly crafted from natural latex, natural wool, and certified safe foams to elevate your sleep sanctuary and support a greener tomorrow. Plus, every purchase helps fuel Lisa's work with shelters and those in need. Don't put off a good night's sleep any longer. Get a Lisa mattress today for a sound sleep tonight. Visit lisa.com/iHeart. That's LEESA.com/iHeart.
It's time for a Big Blue Kickoff Live.
Nobody can ever tell you that you couldn't do it, because you did.
On Giants.com.
You know what I saw? New York Giant pride.
And the Giants mobile app.
17-14 is the final. One touchdown, we are world champions. Believe it, and it will happen.
Part of the Giants Podcast Network.
Hello, everybody, and happy Tuesday. Welcome to Big Blue Kickoff Live right here on Giants.com and the Giants mobile app. I am John Schmeelk, joined by Paul Dottino. Hope everyone had a great long Memorial Day weekend. A lot of good weather. Just a little rain on, what was it, Monday morning? But that was pretty much it.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it was a fantastic weekend. Hope everybody had a good one. We are back. Giants are back with 3 OTAs this week, 4 OTAs next week. We'll continue coverage on Big Blue Kickoff Live, presented by Cadillac, the official luxury vehicle of the New York Football Giants. So, Paul, we have a couple things today. We've talked a lot about what happened at OTAs. Real quick, today was a short one. The Giants golf outing is today, which is their big charitable day. So the players and coaches all go out to the golf outing. So they only went from 10:15 to 11 o'clock today. Quick one, couple of team sessions, not a whole lot going on, not a whole lot to report. So we've done a lot over the past couple weeks last week about what was happening in OTA, so we're not going to focus on that today. We're going to go around the league a little bit, and we're going to take a look at what NFL teams Paul and I think will either improve the most or get worse the most from last year to this year. So we'll turn it into a little contest. We're trying to do more of these to have a little bit of fun. So we'll go back and forth. We'll each pick one team we think will improve the most, 3 teams we think will improve the most, 3 teams we think will get worse, and then we'll look at our plus-minus wins and losses from 2023 to 2024 after the year, and we'll see which one of us was better.
I misunderstood the directions. I thought you were talking about teams on the Giants' schedule who will be the most improved and who will be the least improved.
I would like to focus on the schedule teams if we can.
Okay.
Because obviously that's going to impact
Well, that's what I did.
the most.
I picked out 3 that are on the ups and 3 are on the downs from the Giants' schedule.
As we move along here, you can include other teams if you like. If you want to bring up, that's my fault. I should have been more specific. You can bring up the 2023 standings.
Okay. I just concentrated on the Giants' schedule, but that's okay.
But there might be teams on the Giants' schedule that you think could include in this. And then a bonus question at the end, Paul. We're going to each pick out one team that we think has the best chance of going worst to first in their division. Because usually there's one team each year that will go worst to first in the 8 divisions. So we'll each pick out one of those teams. So bring up the 2023 standings. I'll give you a chance to situate yourself, okay? Can I go first then for team I think will improve the most?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
All right. I am going to go, and I thought about a couple teams here on the Giants schedule, and I do have one that I might pick a little bit later. But the first team I'm going to pick here, where I think the team that's going to improve the most, is the Arizona Cardinals. Last year they went 4-13. They had their starting quarterback Kyler Murray out for much of the year. He got back halfway through the year. I think their coaching staff did some interesting things with, frankly, a group that wasn't supremely talented. They'll have Kyler Murray all year. They draft Marvin Harrison Jr. I think they did a really nice job in the draft adding more talent. It's the second year in the program. So they draft another offensive tackle. They're going to put him with their rookie offensive tackle from last year. And, it's tough. So many teams finish in, the mud of the league between 9 wins and 6 wins. You're not going to get much bounce back there.
Sure.
But the Cardinals only won 4 games last year. That's why they were picking ahead of the Giants in the draft. So I could easily see the Cardinals winning 7 games this year, which would be a +3. Which I think in this exercise, Paul, we're going to learn +3 or +4 is a pretty big swing.
I think so.
From year to year.
I think so.
So I'm going to go for my first team. I'm going to go with the Arizona Cardinals for, I think, one of the teams that I think will improve the most from last year to this year. By the way, sorry for starting late, by the way. We shut down all our gear over the long weekend. It took us a little while to get everything going. That was
How
my
to
fault.
scrape off the rust.
That was my fault. So we'll go a little bit longer if we get calls. Don't worry about that. So I'm going to lead off, and I'm going to go with the Arizona Cardinals first year, Paul, for a team that I think will improve the most from last year to this year.
Yeah, I think that's very logical for a lot of the reasons you talked about, John. The names that I wrote down, and again, I started with 3 that were on the Giants' schedule.
By the way, it makes sense because, again, those are the teams that we're most concerned with.
Well, yeah, and to be honest with you, I've actually started already trying to track those teams a little bit because I knew the Giants going to play them.
Of course.
So I know a little bit more about those teams. To me, it came down to if I'm going to take one team that has the best chance, I would love to pick the Bengals, except the Bengals already won 9 games last year. And how much higher can you go?
In that division, how much better are you going to be, right?
You could easily be a much better team and win 10 games.
I'm first team on my list, Bengals, but I decided not to go with it. Go ahead.
That's the problem. So I'm going to go with the Atlanta Falcons.
Oh, that's a good one. They're on my list. I got a star next to it, too.
Well, there you go.
Darn.
That would be the second team on my list right after I kind of disqualified the Bengals because they won too many games last year.
Right.
It's
a good one.
Atlanta already showed some progress last season. And obviously the change in the coaching staff that they underwent, you could see them starting to get things going. The wheels were starting to turn. They've started to add more talent, and obviously they spent the money to grab Kirk Cousins.
Get the famous Leon Lett play on NFL Network.
Oh, just now?
Yeah. Anyway.
I still can't believe. I remember watching it live. I still can't believe he tracked him down.
Yeah, Don Beaky.
Can't believe it.
Can't
believe it.
And that would be one of those infamous Super Bowl plays if it wasn't, a 30-point game at the point where he knocked the ball away. Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine, John. The money that that they spent on Cousins may have been astronomical, but let's not kid ourselves. Look at the rest of this roster.
That's a huge upgrade.
It was needed. Yeah. And he is so often we talk about who's the missing piece, who's the missing link, who's that one guy who can really take this team to the next level. If you look at the Falcons, you could make a very strong case that the quarterback was going to be the missing piece.
Yeah,
so
this is the opposite.
They spent big.
Talk about some teams, you draft the quarterback and you build around the quarterback. The Falcons are the test case for build the roster and then try to drop the quarterback in.
It's pretty good around the quarterback. It really is.
Which, frankly,
it's pretty good.
An unmitigated failure the last 2 years.
No doubt.
And now they're going to see if they can kind of make up for that and do a little bit better. I think the Falcons, they were one of my star teams. I was probably going to pick them next, to be honest with you. I should have picked them first.
I'm sorry.
Don't apologize. That's why it's a contest. That's why it's fun. All right, I'm going to go with the team that burnt me in our little wins contest last year.
Okay.
And this is more of a, you try to find teams that either added players or made a big change that'll make them a lot better, right? Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what the whole point of this exercise is. So this team burned me last year in our wins contest. Regular season wins.
Yep.
And I still don't think they're a great team. I'm going to bet on the head coach here. I'm going to go with the LA Chargers. Adding Jim Harbaugh. They only
wrong with that.
They only won 5 games last year. And if they can get to 8, that's a +3.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's pretty good. They still have a really good quarterback in Herbert. Their weapons around him are not the best, but I think they're going to run the ball. The offensive line is going to be better. They drafted Joe Alt, right? You put him with Rashawn Slater.
Right.
I think that's a good one. So I'm going to go with the Chargers here as my second team that I think will make the biggest jump. And again, I don't think either the Chargers or Cardinals will make the playoffs necessarily, but I think both will get much closer to 500 compared to selecting in the top 5 like they were last year. They dropped my pick.
And yeah, that's okay. Isn't it interesting that both of us kind of went to the same division? And for the same reason. You love the Harbaugh move.
Yeah.
I'm a big Antonio Pierce guy. Huge Antonio Pierce guy. And I think what he did with the Las Vegas Raiders during the stretch run last season showed you the kind of grit, bulldog mentality, the effort, the overachievers, if you will, that can make that team a playoff team this season, despite the fact that Gardner Minshew may wind up being their starting quarterback. So I will go. I look.
They won 8 last year already. It's not like they only won like 5 or 6 last year.
I think they'll win at least 10 this year.
Wow.
I'm a big believer in Antonio
I
Pierce.
love AP, but I don't know if they have the horses, man.
You know what, John? I saw. Here's what really did it for me, and we both know him well enough to know the kind of guy he is. He's infectious. He rubs off on people. And when we went out to Las Vegas, even though Daniel Jones got hurt early in that game and then it didn't turn out to be much of a game, I looked at that team. I looked at that depth chart, and I said, I'm just not convinced that there's a whole lot here. And look at how well they played.
No, it's true. But do you think their roster got significantly better?
Maybe not a whole lot better.
They added Christian Wilkins. That was a big splash.
But
obviously.
sure.
Lost Josh Jacobs.
Yeah. I'm gonna bank on AP. And quite frankly, I'm not a huge fan of the other teams in the division. We know what Kansas City is because they're always going to be a contender. But I get Harbaugh. I think that's a very legitimate reason. You know how big I am on their quarterback.
Oh,
I love their quarterback.
I love Herbert too.
Okay, but push comes to shove, I'm going with the pit bull. I have no respect for the Denver Broncos. I'm sorry. I just don't.
And I know you're a big Sean Payton guy too.
I'm a very big Sean Payton guy, but I think that is a mess. So I'm gonna go Raiders.
Okay, I like it. All right, I got a tough one here. I got 2 teams that I'm considering. And one of the teams that burnt me, another team that burnt me in the wins contest we had last year.
You have no grudges then?
No.
That's nice. It's good.
Yeah, or I'm stupid for not learning from my mistakes. One or the other. I'm not sure which one you would go with there.
Okay.
So I got 2 teams here. I'll go with the team on the Giants schedule. Because I haven't picked one of those yet. And I'll make it relevant to the Giants.
Okay.
I'm going to go with the Carolina Panthers. They were pathetic last year. Look,
yes, they were. Yes, they were.
They won 2 games.
I'm not so sure they're going to be any better, to be honest.
I'm sure their owner would also term their performance last year as pathetic. That's why he fired everybody and hired new people everywhere. I think they're going to be better this year. I'm a Bryce Young fan. I think the situation around him last year was a mess. They add 2 big guards in free agency, big power players that should help protect the inside of that pocket. You're bringing Deontay Johnson, who's a very good NFL wide receiver. You draft Xavier Legette in the second round, who's you hope he's going to become a good run after the catch guy. They had talent on defense last year. Their defense last year wasn't terrible. It was okay.
Right.
And I think with a competent offense, you'll see that team. And again, I'm not looking for 8-9 wins here, Paul. I don't need 8-9 wins. They won 2 last year. I think they can get to 6. And that'll give me a +4 in the win column.
Fair enough.
So I'm going to go with the Carolina Panthers here as my 3rd team.
Yeah, I see the rationale behind it, and it's funny that you kind of went in that direction because as I was looking at last year's standings, and since we're going net gain, there are a couple teams here I would love to pick besides the Bengals, but I don't think the net gain is going to be there.
Now, yes, it's hard because again,
well, that's the problem.
Well, you were just looking at a team that was my second choice. I don't know if you want me to give you an idea.
Well, I was looking at the Colts.
But I couldn't believe they won 9 last year.
With Gardner Minshew.
I think they're going to be significantly better, but I don't know if they're going to win that many more games.
How is Richardson going to lead that team to more than 9 wins?
And remember, that was also the situation last year. We talked about this last year a lot when we did our little games. AFC South played the NFC South last year.
Correct.
So it was 2 bad divisions playing each other.
Without a doubt.
Which I think probably inflated those win totals a bit, too.
I'm looking at the Patriots as well. That's the other team that I just took a glance at. And it's easy to go there because they won 4 games last year.
How about the team you can't stand that's right next to them?
Do you believe Aaron Rodgers is going to play the whole season?
Well, that's why I got burnt in the wins thing last year. That was the team I was thinking about.
I don't.
But let me ask you, if he does, I think they're a fairly safe bet to win 10.
10's within reason. Definitely.
And that would give you a +3.
10's within reason if he plays. See, it's hard to ever think of the Patriots as a 4-13 team, but they were last year.
No, they're bad.
They were bad. They were bad.
And you might not even. They might be Jacoby Brissett for a lot of the year too.
It could be. And so as a result, as much as they have set the bar so low you say to yourself, come on, can I get a +3 out of a team that won 4 games?
Yeah, they didn't really.
But here's the
add a
problem.
ton either.
That's the problem. They're just not very good.
No, if you look at their roster and their depth chart, it's
John,
a struggle.
They might wind up with 4 again.
Like if I had to this is a good question. This is a fun little thing here. If I made you guess, Paul, give me 3 teams you think are most likely to have the top pick in the draft next year. What 3 teams do you pick? Think about it. And we can go back and forth. I think the Patriots.
Pats and Panthers are 2 of them.
Yeah, and I think the Commanders maybe. Just because it's a rookie quarterback and you don't know what Jaden is going to be.
Yeah.
And again, I think they've done a good job adding some solid vets to that team. I think they're going to be okay.
That's fair.
But again, we're trying to just figure out what teams will be most likely.
That's fair.
I mean, no one from the AFC North, right? You can throw that out.
No.
The Titans maybe? But, I mean, they added a lot of guys. They spent a lot in free agency.
Now,
I think Levis was okay last year.
And that's actually, to be honest with you, I understand that you've got the Texans and the Jaguars, and you think Anthony Richardson may win 8 or 9 games with the Colts. Can the Titans win 8 games? They had 6 last year. Can I give you the Titans as my 3rd team?
Possible.
I'll go there, not without a lot of conviction. I'm just not going to be really sold on it, but I'm going to go there because they did add a lot, and they only had 6 wins last season.
Believe in Will Levis. I like it.
I don't think he's bad.
No, I don't think he's bad either.
I don't think he's bad. And maybe the Texans come back to earth a little bit. Maybe they just had too much karma going for them. I think the Jaguars are going to be good. I'm not sure that the Colts. What if Richardson gets hurt again? Then they're not going to win 9 games.
I know.
So I'll go. Put me down for the Titans.
All right, I like Titans. I like it. All right,
put me down for the Titans.
Another team I'll throw in there, Paul. Would you be shocked if the Broncos were in the mix for?
No, I would not.
Draft?
No, I would not at all.
I think that's the other team I would put in there.
I would agree.
I don't want to put. I think the Vikings are too well coached offensively to be that low.
I agree.
And again, maybe I think the Panthers have a chance. I'm with you on that. But that's it. Like, there are not that many teams that I think are going to be terrible. And frankly, I don't think the Commanders have a terrible roster. So I'd be surprised if they were that low. I was just picking a team that has a quarterback situation that I have questions about. And of course,
that's very fair.
And you're going to have a team that we think is going to be good, just have bad injuries and have a bad quarterback injury.
Exactly.
And they're going to be at the bottom. You can't predict those, obviously. But that's going to be another thing that's going to happen somewhere along the way.
I mean, look, Joe Flacco was backing up Richardson, right? Flacco drank some juice from the fountain of youth last year.
Yeah.
Okay. And got Cleveland into the playoffs with a terrific final month of the season. Now, if Richardson goes down, which I'm sorry, but it's absolutely possible again.
Oh, sure.
Will Joe Flacco be able to man the controls for a month, 2 months, whatever he's needed, and do what he did last year with Cleveland? I'm not so sure that he does. I could see the Colts as one of those teams, like the Jets, who are banking too much on their starting quarterback.
All right, now let's go to the next one. Teams that we think will maybe decrease their win total. I was trying to think of a nice way to say get worse, so I'll just say, not be quite as good.
How about slide? Teams who will slide.
Sliders, I like that. Who are the sliders going to be?
Teams who will slide. Oh, I think we just talked about that a little bit, just a little bit.
That's fine. Well, I went first on the teams I think will improve the most, so I'll let you go first on the teams that you think might take the biggest dip.
Let me go back to the standings here and just make sure I saw how many wins.
You want me to go first, just so I have a team ready?
No, that's all right. That's all right. I'll take a shot right now. I will go Colts first.
Colts as a slider.
Colts as a slider because I don't think Richardson is going to hold up. And
he's a big dude. But
he is a big dude. I just don't think he will hold up, and I'm not buying Flacco to be able to keep the boat float.
And shoulders with quarterbacks are scary, too. He has shoulder injuries.
Yeah, you think?
By the way, folks, get on the line, 201-939-4513. As soon as done our little exercise here, we'll take your calls at 201-939-4513.
And you got to understand, the other reason I'm going there, too, is because the Colts did win a very respectable 9 games last year.
Yeah.
So if you're picking a slider, it's hard to pick a team that won 6 or less because how far can you slide?
No, it's very, very difficult. I have 2 teams here that are actually both on the Giants' schedule. Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to think which one you're least likely to take. Because I want both of them. And I want to make sure I get both. So I'm going to go, because I think this is the one you're most likely to take. I'm going to go with the Dallas Cowboys.
Okay.
They won 12 games last year. I think it's very hard to argue that their roster got better. They lost Stephen Gilmore.
Right.
They lost a bunch of guys in free agency. Tony Pollard, that they did not bring back. Jonathan Hankins, another guy that they lost. Leighton Vander Esch retired. Tyron Smith went to the Jets. Tyler Biotish went to the Commanders. A lot of losses for the Cowboys.
Yep.
And they're in this weird situation, and this might change. Maybe they'll sign Dak Prescott before the season starts. Who knows how that's going to go? But there's a lot hanging over the head of that franchise
no
right
doubt.
now. Head coaches in the final year of his contract, too. So I still think the Cowboys make the playoffs, but I think they're closer to 9 or 10 wins than 12 or 13. So I think you're getting a -2 or a -3 there. So I'm going to go with the Dallas Cowboys as a team that I think will slide back to the pack a little bit. And I think the schedule is tough having to play the NFC North.
I would love nothing more than to watch the Cowboys crash and burn.
Well, I don't know if they're going to crash and burn, but I think they are going to slide a little bit.
Some of the answers that we would love to put out here are teams that already did poorly last year, and as a result, their negative won't be that bad. Right? The Commanders won 4 games. The Patriots won 4 games. How many fewer games can you win?
Right.
It's pretty hard, to be honest. In the NFL today, with the parity in the league today, it's really hard to have like a 2-win team. It's really hard. It's really, really hard. So for me, believe it or not, as I look at last year's standings and I try to qualify this by looking at wins, the Buccaneers and the Saints both won 9 games last year. And I am not, even though I'm a Derek Carr fan, I am not sold on the Saints roster. I'm also not tremendously sold on the Buccaneers roster, and Mayfield had an incredible season.
I had both on my list.
Okay? So my next pick is going to wind up being the Buccaneers or the Saints. You're welcome to take the other one. I'll just flip a coin, I guess,
Take one.
and take one over the other. I will go Saints.
Okay.
And you're welcome to take Tampa. I think they're both on the same plane.
I have another team ahead of them on my list, so
That's okay.
I will leave them to you, so you can get both, which is good for you. And the Bucks were and the Saints were both on my list. I agree.
Problem is somebody has to win that division, John.
The Saints are just they're so static. Like I don't know. Like I just don't see how they could possibly win 10. But I don't know if they're going to win 3. I don't know. I could see them winning 6 and you getting 2 out of that pretty easily.
Well, you know what's interesting about that one?
They finished with 9 or 8 last year.
They had 9. They had 9.
I think I could see them going -3. That wouldn't shock me.
No, and here's the thing that really troubled me. You guys know I'm a huge Derek Carr fan. I always have been. They were really getting on him last year.
Oh, and the fans who are very positive down there usually too. They were not fans.
No. And I don't think it was really that much on him, but you know what?
Yeah, part of it was. But
He had some inconsistencies during the season.
They're also a team that's spoiled. They're coming off of 15 years of Drew Brees, so
bingo. You know, so but
like Giant fans coming off Eli Manning, you get used to a certain level of play, right?
So besides some of their letdown, I also think that the team maybe wasn't as good around him as it could have been. But here's the point: as the heat gets hotter in the kitchen, if he has a couple inconsistent games again, is the pressure going to be so great that Carr gets benched? I wouldn't be shocked at some point if he gets benched.
Who's their backup? I know
right now?
I know Dave Taysom Hill, obviously. Who else is there?
It's Hayner.
That's it, huh?
That's Jake Hayner. Rattler is there.
Right,
Nathan
Rattler.
Peterman is there. I mean, to be frank with
I can see
you,
the fans calling for Rattler. He ended up getting picked in the 5th round. Spencer Rattler?
Yeah, but Rattler is like, he's the new young, even though he's only 5th rounder. At some point, could it get to either A, Carr gets hurt, remember he's older, or B, he gets benched, and then the Saints are going in the toilet? I think.
No, I like that one. I think that's a good one. All right, so I'm going to go with the other team that I was debating between. I'm going to go with the Baltimore Ravens here, Paul.
Ooh.
They won 12 games last year.
Yeah.
Right? They went 12-5. I think they're going to be a good team again. But I think like Dallas.
-2?
Yeah, I think 2 or 3. Because a couple reasons. They lost a starting offensive lineman. They lost Morgan Moses, who was their starting right tackle.
Mm-hmm.
They lost their starting guard, if I'm not mistaken, as well. You lost Odell Beckham Jr., a wide receiver. You lost your defensive coordinator, who was one of the best defensive coordinators in football. So I think that takes a hit there. I just don't see
Tough division, too.
in a really tough division where you're going to have Joe Burrow back now. I think the Steelers are going to be better this year compared to what they were last year, too.
Could be.
I think you're going to have just a natural. I think the AFC North is going to have a bunch, and not because they're not good teams, just because it's going to be a war of attrition. They're going to knock each other off. I think you're going to I think all 4 teams will finish between 8 and 11 wins in that division. Maybe 8 and 10 wins.
That's certainly possible.
Just because they're so good, they're going to knock each other off. So I'm going to go with the Ravens. I think the Ravens get a little bit worse. I still think, like the Cowboys, I still think they're a playoff team, but I think they'll be closer to 9 or 10 wins than to 12 next year.
Fair enough. Fair enough. It also wouldn't be surprising if they duplicated their win total either, to be honest with you, John. And again, they got a quarterback who is always at risk of getting hurt, so I probably should also jump on your back on that and say, hey, you know what? He gets hurt. Where are they?
All bets are off, right? Yeah.
For sure. Another team. And how many teams in this league now, in all honesty, they're on a fulcrum. And starting quarterback,
I think it's Paul. I think it's every team.
a lot of them. Certainly a lot of them.
There's not much.
It
is what it is.
Some more than others. But that cliff is awfully steep if that guy gets hurt. So, as much as I hate to take 2 teams from the same division, let's say for argument's sake, the Panthers win a couple of more games and the Falcons win maybe 4 more games.
Yeah, you are very heavy NFC South. You have the Falcons on your plus, and then you have 2 teams on the negative. I like it. In fact, all 4 teams are accounted for. I have the Panthers.
Right.
Me and you're going to be locked in on the NFC South.
I'm telling you. So, I'm not a big Los Angeles Rams guy. I'll be honest with you. They're giving me some pause here because we know that McVay actually thought about retiring, right? McVay thought about retiring, and I got them up on my board here. Now, they brought in Fisk. They lost Aaron Donald, obviously. They brought in Verse. You know what? They won how many games last year? They won 10 games last year, and I don't think they were that good.
But you're going with the Bucs.
Yeah, but here's the problem. If I go another team in the division, like you said, then I'm so top-heavy in the South, it's almost ridiculous to put too many apples in that apple cart, right?
I understand.
And coming down from 9, maybe a -2. I think the Rams could easily come down 3 or maybe even 4. Who knows how long Stafford's going to go? But you got a coach now who's on the cusp of retiring. I'm going to go Rams. I'm sorry. I could see your smile. I didn't look at your list.
Look at the 2 teams I had left.
Yeah, well, okay.
All right, so he's going to take the Rams, and I agree with you. They're on my list. I'm with you. I just don't believe in their defense, Paul. And they lost Aaron Donald.
Well, who's the headache player on defense now?
Exactly. Now, they have some young guys that played well last year.
I get
but again,
that.
Those were supporting players with Aaron Donald out there. What happens when the big dog's off the field?
I know.
It becomes problematic, right? So I'm with you. I think the Rams will I don't think they're a playoff team next year. I think the Rams we expected the Rams step back to be last year. Mm-hmm. I think it happens this year now.
I could absolutely see it.
I think they overachieved a little bit. And then Stafford's awesome, and that offense might carry him to 8 wins all on their own.
Stafford's really good.
Because he's really good, and McVay knows how to run an offense, obviously. So that might carry them to that amount of wins anyway, but their defense does worry me. I'm going to go with the Bucs then. Baker Mayfield came out, had a monster year last year.
I know.
I just don't know if he's going to be able to repeat it. They won 9. I could see them winning 7 this year in a division that I think has a lot of parity in it in the NFC South.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that. So I'm going to go Bucs and hope that they kind of slide back down a little bit. And again, the problem is that they actually do have some pretty darn good people around Baker Mayfield on offense.
They do.
It's a very talented group, and Todd Bowles knows how to run a defense. He's a good defensive coach. But I'll go the Bucs here. I almost went right up against you. I thought about picking the Raiders to go down.
And that's okay, too.
And again, it has nothing to do with AP. I think AP's fantastic. He's a great coach. But
their roster is really sketchy.
Find the quarterback situations you don't believe in.
I know.
Bet on them.
I absolutely know.
And I just don't believe in that quarterback situation. I can't. I know Minshew did a good job with the Colts last year, but I don't know.
I just can't get over what AP did down the stretch last year with nobody playing quarterback. I can't get over that.
They lost Carmen Brasillo on the offensive line. They lost offensive lineman.
Yeah.
I could see. Okay, here's a bold prediction. You can put this in the bold prediction column. Devontae Adams would be traded off of the Raiders by midseason. They're going to see they're out of it. He's older. They want to get something back for a really good wide receiver, and I think they will trade Devontae Adams by midseason.
Before I even respond to that, let me see what the first half of their schedule looks like.
I believe, I have not looked at it either. I probably should have. That's a good point.
That's a good thing to look at first.
No, it's a good point because Adams' contract after this year, it gets really, really big. Wow, that is some kind of font they're using on that schedule.
It's very wicked, very, very wicked. I can't. What is that supposed to be? Like a Gothic? Some kind of Gothic?
It looks like something out of Castlevania.
It really does.
All right. Do you have any idea what Castlevania is?
So it probably is some type of Gothic in some regard.
Castlevania was an old Nintendo video game.
There you go.
Where you fought vampires.
Doesn't surprise me at all. All right, at Chargers, at Ravens.
The funny thing, Castlevania is too new for Paul, too old for Psytac. I'm like right in the middle there, understanding Castlevania. I'm in the meat of that curve.
All right, so if the trade deadline is near the end of October, right? So before then, they're at Chargers, at Ravens, home for Panthers, home for Browns, at Broncos, home for Steelers, and at Rams. AP could navigate the first half of that schedule and still have them alive.
What's the next game?
Then after that, they're home.
Chiefs and Bengals. When's the trade deadline?
You see the date? You see the date? Exactly when it is?
When's the trade deadline?
It's right around then.
November 5th. All right, so you're going to get two blowout losses to the Chiefs and the Bengals, and out goes Devontae.
You got a chance.
I got a shot now.
You got a shot now.
Remember they moved it back?
I didn't know how far.
November 5th.
I didn't know how far.
I got a shot now.
You definitely got a shot.
After Rams, Chiefs, Bengals, and Steelers. That's a 4-game stretch that's kind of tough.
Especially those last two.
I got a shot.
If they get belted by Kansas City at home and then go to Cincinnati and Burrow knocks them to oblivion, that would be a very strong trigger.
Remember, last year, they annihilated the Chiefs late in the year.
Oh, and that's...
So the Chiefs are not going to be happy about that.
And that truly was last year's landmark victory for Antonio Pierce.
It was, I think it was the biggest upset in the whole league.
It really was.
Week. It was a great win.
It was like, for him, I don't want to say that was like a playoff win, but the value of that victory to him and his organization was immense.
Oh, without that win, he might not have been brought back as head coach.
Absolutely. It may very well not have happened.
That might not have been fair, but that's just how it works sometimes.
It wouldn't have been fair, but I think that put him over the top.
Yeah.
So, if you don't think the Chiefs have that tape already queued up.
And the Chiefs have basically credited that game for their Super Bowl run. They're like, that game made us be like, yo, what's going on here?
No doubt.
We need to figure this out. This is not the best here. So
that's being scared straight, as they say.
It is. All right, let's go to the phones here. 201-939-4513. Guys, before we do, though, remember, subscribe to the Giants Huddle podcast. We're on twice a week now at this point of the year. We have our bracket podcast up right now. I believe it's the red bracket that's up now. Psytac, is that accurate?
Yeah, the red one's up.
The red one's up, right? So we have me and Bob Papa breaking down the red bracket. That's up on Giants.com right now. You can.
I had my vote. I had my votes right here. Okay. But we'll talk about that tomorrow.
If we have some time, maybe we can do that too.
Do it tomorrow.
Yeah, that's fine. So go vote, and me and Bob talk about that in the Giants Huddle podcast. Then tomorrow, if it's not up already, I talked to PJ Fleck. And I talked to the defensive coordinator and secondary coach for Minnesota about Tyler Nubin. Fleck's their head coach, obviously. So that'll go up. If it's not up today, it'll go up tomorrow.
Okay.
Make sure you guys go check that out on the Giants Huddle podcast. Really good insight into Tyler Nubin. And I'm working on LSU, Penn State, and Purdue for those three players in the Giants draft class, Tracy and Neighbors, Theo Johnson. So I'm working on that, folks. Hopefully next couple months we will get all of that done. 201-939-4513. All right, let's go to the phones. We only have one call on the line. We have some open lines if you want to get in, folks, and we have other stuff we want to talk about, too. Our buddy Wilson. Wilson, what's going on, man?
Hey, Johnny and Paulie, how are you?
Hello.
Hey, listen, real quick before I get to my Giants. Listen, if between 4 and 7 wins in the NFL, you are a horrendous team. Between 7 and 9 to 10 wins, 9 wins. You're an average to mediocre team.
You included 7 wins twice. You said 4
You can't
to
do
7
that.
and 7 to 9.
Yeah, you can't do that.
You got to say under 7 then. So under 7, you're horrendous. Once you get to 7, you're okay.
Okay, right. Well, no, between 4 and 7. Because if you win less than 4 games, you don't belong in the NFL.
You said between 4 and 7, which means you can't include 7.
Yes, because and then you said between 7 and 9, and then you
right.
So which one is
So
it?
now a team that wins 7 doesn't exist, according to you.
No, it's both. You're terrible and you're average at the same time.
Hey, Johnny, man, too many. I wasn't good at math. You know, I think I got.
No, Wilson. I would say, look,
7 and 10 is respectable.
I would say if you're 7 and 10, you're not terrible.
You can't be terrible at 7 and 10.
You're not you're not good, but you're not terrible.
Yes.
You're like in the middle there. From 10 to 12, you're a good team. From 12 to 15, between 10 between 10 to 13, 14, you're a better than good team, and then 14 to 16, you're a great team.
Okay.
I think because a lot of people say, well, we won 7 games. If you win 7 games, you're horrible. That's what I guess that's
Wait a minute. No,
you just said you're not
said
terrible.
You
Wilson,
just said
you got to figure out 7. I don't think 7. You're terrible. How many teams won? I think 7's the cutoff point. If you win fewer than 7, I think you're really, really poor. Last year there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 teams that won fewer than 7 games, and I don't think you can have fewer than or more than 7, bad teams over the course of an NFL season.
And I'll go even further and say if you haven't won more than 4 games in a season, that borders on smelly.
Catastrophe.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
right,
correct.
Right.
No. Yeah.
Okay.
We agree.
So no, I just don't want people to think. Let's just say, I hope not, but let's just say, well, we won 7 games. We won 1 more game than last year, and people to think, well, we're good. No, that's no. If you win 7 games, you're still horrendous. That's my main point.
You went there again.
All right, Wilson. I would say this. I think Wilson. I think a good goal this year. I'm going to try to boil the point down for you, and you tell me if you think I'm off base here. If you're a Giant fan and expectations this year, if you win 8, I think you're pretty happy with the improvement. I think if you only win 7, all right, you got better, but you're still not satisfied. Is that fair?
Yes, Johnny.
All right, there we go. I put a little stamp on it for you.
We just wanted to make you happy. That's all.
Yes. Well, and by the way, and Wilson, I think that's reasonable. I don't think that's an unreasonable way to look at it.
That's absolutely fair. Sure.
Okay, good. All right. See, that's why you make the big bucks, Johnny, because you can work things differently.
And is it safe to say if they win 9, you'll be pleased? Really pleased?
Oh, God, yes.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Paulie, listen, if we win 9 games, we're right in the thick.
10 wins, pizza for everybody.
Yeah, look, last year there were, let's see, you know what? In the AFC, there were 3 teams that won 9 games last year that did not make the playoffs, and there was 1 team in the NFC that won 9 and did not make the playoffs. So 9 does not guarantee you playoffs, but it gives you a good shot.
Well, yeah. Well, then let's hope for 10 then.
You got to win the right 9. That's what it comes down to.
Right, you got to win the right 9. That's right.
Right. Listen. Okay. Listen. No. So I'm not the most optimistic guy when it comes to the Giants. So I think that's pretty much we established that. But
you also aren't the most pessimistic. We have more pessimistic guys than you too.
Yes, we do.
Oh, okay.
Some dude up by the Canadian border
all right,
has that title.
And I don't feel as bad. No, but okay, guys, listen. Last year, right, for example, after I saw the first preseason game, I think I called you guys and I said, I mean, we have no talent. I mean, the Detroit Lions third stringers are better than our starters. I said that last year. And then, unfortunately, it came to fruition. We were horrendous and we had no talent offensively, none whatsoever. And even if we didn't get all the injuries, we were still very deprived of talent. Offensively, anyway.
No, I would say, though, Wilson, if the team, not 100% healthy, but if they were just, let's say, 50% healthier last year, I think you can easily make the argument the team would have won either 7 or 8 games, depending on how the season would have went.
Okay. All right, Johnny. But,
horrendous is you're going too far with that.
Okay, but Paulie, but we were not. But can I just say that we were not a very good offensively talented team? Can we say that?
I would say the weapons around, especially once you would Waller get hurt and Barkley not out there. Yeah, the talent around the quarterback position and in front of the quarterback position on the offensive line certainly wasn't where you needed it to be.
I like the phrase "not very good." I think that's accurate.
Yeah, that's fair.
Not very good.
All right. So at least this year, right? I can look forward to the preseason because at least on paper, because all we can do now is go. But on paper, because we haven't seen that none of this play out and on the field. But at least on paper, we are a much better, talented offensive team. I think we really are. And defensively, we are much better. Just by getting Brian Burns, we're much better. And the offensive line, I told you guys this before, cannot be worse. So everything's pointing forward. You know what I mean? So that's I'm saying that last year. I was a little skeptical about the season, and unfortunately, everything went downhill. But this year, there's a lot more stuff to look forward to. That's what I'm saying.
Now, Wilson, I agree with you, and now I'm going to play devil's advocate. I'm going to say I agree with you, and now I'm going to play devil's advocate. The only thing that worries me is that you're relying an awful lot on a rookie in Malik Neighbors to be your main difference maker and headache player on offense. And a lot of times it's hard to rely on a rookie in his rookie year to be the guy. And right now, at least in my mind, he needs to be the guy for this team to be where you want it to be offensively.
Wilson, right now you don't have a headache player on offense because Barkley's in Philadelphia. So if you're going to tell me we
have no idea where Waller is right now.
We do not.
Right.
And Waller has been a headache player in his career, but right now.
And it's also been a while since he's been.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
so
you're right, Wilson.
So here's the problem. Until you establish a headache player who can force defenses to have to put extra concentration and focus on him so that you can open up other areas to exploit. Until that happens, you are kind of just sifting through the forest, trying to see what you can do in an even keel situation. But if Neighbors can become a headache player in the first 2 months of the season, and it's probably going to take him that long to do it, at least a month, probably 2 months. But until that happens, you can't expect defenses to start cheating and shading.
Now, maybe,
you can't.
Maybe Wandell or Hyatt develop into that guy, but I don't think we've seen enough to think that's going to happen.
Yeah, I can't put that on them right now.
But Johnny, Paulie, listen, I wasn't even going to put Malik Neighbors in that. I wasn't even going to go there. I'm saying is that Wendell Robinson should be better. That Hyatt should be more comfortable within the offense now. And the most important thing is that the offensive line cannot be worse. It's impossible.
No, you're right about that. No, that's all fair.
Here's where you're going. Here's where you're going, Wilson. I'm going to make it easy. You're going with a rising tide lifts all boats. That's where you're going. Because you're saying that the wide receiver room as a whole should be better, and the offensive line as a whole should be better. Therefore, the boat rises. I get that. That's very fair.
Right, and if Malik Neighbors becomes what everybody thinks and hopes that he is, that's like the cherry on the top, and you know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna forget about Malik Neighbors for a minute. Everything else, even with the addition of the veteran receiver that they got from Pittsburgh, all the moves that they made, everything, it seems like it's complementing each other. And talent-wise, at least on paper, we are much better than last year.
I get you. Allen Robinson, by the way, is in a fight to make the team. We don't even know that he's on the 53. I don't want to assume that. Okay, I look, I'd love to see him make it, but right now there's no lock for Allen Robinson to make it. So don't put him in the equation yet.
No, I mean, no. I think he's a guy that has to fight for one. Like,
no doubt.
If Isaiah Hodgins beat him out for a roster spot, that wouldn't surprise me.
No, and I think those guys may be fighting for a spot.
Yeah, they could be.
They absolutely could be.
Similar body type, similar type of bigger wide receiver. I think they're kind of would be in the same role.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Wilson, I would also say this as you go back and contemplate some of the other things that you thought about and think about. Remember, one of the things that the Giants actually had in their favor last year, we've discussed this on the program, John, their turnover ratio was outstanding last season.
Well, they finished top in the league with plus 9.
Yeah, and so part of this has to be they must be more efficient and take advantage, okay, of whatever turnover ratio they wind up with. Because for as good as it was last season, they didn't take advantage of it enough of times. And that's one of the many reasons why they did not have a good record.
Plus 12, tied with the Ravens for tops in the league.
You know? Now, the truth of the matter is,
31 takeaways, tied for the most in the NFL.
When you get those kinds of numbers, if you take care of those numbers efficiently, you got a much better chance to win more games than the Giants did, but they did not do it.
Yeah, I got to be honest with you, and Giant fans probably don't want to hear this, but given all the injuries they had and the quarterback situation, the Giants' win-loss record was probably inflated last year because of that.
Well, who would have thought Tommy DeVito would win 3 games in a row, right?
That's my point. Right? And if you look at the turnover margin in those games, they were all significantly, I'm talking like +2, +3, +4 in the Giants' favor in those games, which is a big reason why they won a lot of those games.
There's one thing you can control, though, John. I will say this. It's not as easily to control how many takeaways you get, but how many giveaways you give, that can be more consistent.
Yes, correct. Yeah, because you can control how you protect the football.
And Brian Daboll, under his leadership here, the first 2 seasons of his head coaching tenure, has proven to be a coach that has an offense that is fairly careful with the football.
Last year, the Giants had 19 giveaways, which was tied for 12th, fewest in the league. And then I'll go back to 2022. The Giants finished the year with 16 giveaways, the second fewest in the NFL.
Need I say more?
So there you go.
That number you can bank a little bit of money on. You can't bank any money on the takeaways.
No, I'm with you 100%. 201-939-4513. Let's go to Scott in New Mexico. Scott, you're on Big Blue Kickoff Live. What's up, buddy?
Hey, guys. First of all, I disagree with you on the Rams taking a step backward. They drafted Gerard Verse and Braden Fisk, I wanted the Giants to get. And I don't know if there's a better passing duo than Nakua and Kupp when he's healthy.
Always difficult to rely on rookies to carry you on any phase of the game, Scott. Always dangerous to do that.
Right, but they were, I think, in the offensive side, they were 9th and 12th in passing and rushing. They have statistics that they won 7 out of their 8 last games.
Oh, Scott, and Scott, what did I say about the Rams when I closed the conversation? Their offense might be good enough to carry them all, in which case we'll be wrong, but our concerns are about the defensive side of the ball.
Right.
Right. They have the same problem the Giants do. They're trying to get a secondary to put a secondary together. So if they do, they're going to be a dominant force, I think, because I do think those 2 guys are going to make a difference. But anyways, my question is about Darius Slayton. I'm going to make an assumption that Malik Neighbors is probably going to be targeted 90 to 100 times this season, maybe with 70 to 80 catches. Darius Slayton has been your best receiver over the last few years with no offensive line. Assuming the offensive line is going to be better this year, can they incorporate 2 guys like that? Because they also have Wan'Dale Robinson and Jalen Hyde. And I know he's not in camp right now, and I assume it's about the extension. But he's too valuable a receiver to negate. And I was wondering what your feelings are to incorporate him into the offense in a big way, as they're going to do with Malik Neighbors. They also have, obviously, a new tight end that's going to be getting targeted. Whether Waller plays or not, even if Waller plays, he'll probably get hurt. So I'm not counting on him really to be a stalwart in the Giants' offense. But Darius Slayton deserves it because, I think I mentioned this to you last time I spoke to you, that he had more passing yards per reception than Tyreek Hill did last year. And I think he had, I may be wrong, I thought he had over 700 yards. So they're now going to concentrate on Malik Neighbors. Can they incorporate another receiver like that, or are they going to depend on developing Jalen Hyatt and Wan'Dale Robinson? Does he become potentially trade bait?
That's a good question.
See that happen?
Paul, what do you think?
Darius Slayton over the last 5 years is averaging over 15 yards a catch, which is, I think, one of only like 5 receivers in the NFL who have done that among qualifiers.
Right.
He is a productive deep threat receiver. I think you are going to see a lot more 4 wide receiver sets in this offense than we've seen in the past.
He's not a high target receiver, though.
No.
That's the thing.
No, he's not.
Right.
But he has a role in this offense, in my opinion. I do believe he will get a significant amount of snaps. Now, does that mean the ball's always going to him? I'm with John. I don't think he's going to be the high target receiver that maybe fantasy football people want. But can he be a functional piece of this passing attack? I absolutely believe that.
I wonder how they're going to balance. And Scott, I think you bring up a good question. How they're going to balance the wide receiver snaps, not even targets, snaps now, between Robinson, Slayton, and Hyatt. Because I think you could put Hyatt in the slot as a vertical slot if you want. Right? Slayton and Hyatt, I think, generally speaking, are your vertical perimeter receivers generally. Let me ask you. If I ask you right now, Paul, rank the Giants' top 5 receivers in snaps this year, how would you rank them?
We don't even know the 5 who are going to make the 53.
All right, so just do 4. Do 4. Because I think we know who the top 4 are.
Well, I don't know how quickly Neighbors is going to come along. You'd have to believe that he'll be number 1.
I agree.
Unless he totally has brain lock at the beginning of the season.
I'm with you.
You know, I would think after that you will probably see Wan'Dale Robinson be number 2.
I agree.
Slayton be 3. And I still think Hyatt's going to be 4.
That's the tough one. I don't know how to balance out Slayton and Hyatt. I think that's going to be determined by how well Hyatt plays. Because I think the default is Slayton over Hyatt. Hyatt will have to show the coaches enough that he deserves snaps over Slayton to get onto the field. So I think that this is on Hyatt and how quickly he kind of, improves as a second-year wide receiver.
We saw Hyatt do a lot of extra work last year with Coach Groh, the wide receivers coach, trying to do things on his own to improve his route running and to improve his mental aspects of the game so that he could be more in tune with the playbook and more in tune with what the quarterback needs to do
and his releases,
when plays break down.
A big part of that, too. They worked on their releases against press
Absolutely.
Constantly.
And we knew when Hyatt came out of school, right? We knew he had to get more physical. And he did put on 15 pounds when he came out.
Hyatt does not involve in special teams, right?
Right.
So that's a deal where Hyatt has to basically, while special team drills are going on, he would get one-on-one time with Groh to work on some of the wide receiver craft stuff.
So not only is this on Hyatt's development in terms of what the number of snaps is going to be, the other thing for me, and it's kind of the hidden factor in that wide receiver room, is that Slayton's not afraid to get in the way and block somebody. He's not known as a great blocker, but he's not afraid to get in the way and help out downfield to try to run interference for a running back or to run interference for a guy who's got a screen pass
or even
over the middle.
They'll bring him in motion to the line. He may be able to pick up a safety off the edge.
Slayton's got the frame, and he's also got the mentality that he's willing to do that. To be frank with you, Hyatt's not going to do that.
No, and Hodgins is the other guy that can do that too, by the way. Which
he can. Well, again, a bigger frame.
Correct.
Now, Allen Robinson does that.
Yep, correct.
Go back and watch the tape in Pittsburgh last year. The numbers were not impressive. The speed looks like it's in slow motion. But, man, does he run very crafty routes, great hands, and he will throw his body into the mix and take care of a defender.
He will.
Okay. One last question. Is there anybody in camp? I mean, it's very early. Is there anybody in camp that has impressed you that's not on the sort of on the wish list right now that may have a chance to make the starting roster? And I'll take your answers off the air, guys. Thanks again.
You know who actually I think, in my opinion, has looked like a pretty decent wide receiver? Gunnar Olszewski. He's done a nice job as a slot.
I know.
He's done a nice job as a slot with the second group.
With all due respect, I hope they don't need him there.
No, he asked me for an under-the-radar guy.
There you go.
Under-the-radar the guy. That would be the guy I'd give you.
Allen Robinson made a really nice catch today It was late in the team drills, and it was a throw from lock from the left side. And even though, to be frank, it might have been a sack, they gave him a little extra time in the pocket. I get that.
Sitek Salmon and I had that same agreement
and
on the sideline watching practice.
And I'm okay with that.
I think that was Ryder Anderson they got on that one, right?
But that has nothing to do with the play that Robinson made on the ball.
Correct.
Okay? The ball was a little bit off. It was in traffic. He twisted. He reached up for it, plucked it right out of the air with those glue hands that he's got, and then took it into the end zone. That's the kind of thing that Allen Robinson does. He's really reliable in that type of pass play. So, nice play by Allen Robinson today. He's a pro. He's a pro. He's been doing it for a lot of years.
Folks, the 2024 schedule is out. A lot of great games on the home schedule, folks. So take your fam to the next level with a season ticket membership. Stay connected to the club all year round, not just on game games. Memberships are now available for the 2024 season. To learn more about all the exclusive member benefits, visit Giants.com/tickets. Limited inventory is available. And don't forget, the Giants' official connected TV streaming app is Giants TV. It brings original video content and game highlights on demand and direct to Big Blue fans. Giants TV is free on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, and the Giants mobile app. Paul, one more thing I forgot to ask you that we didn't finish before.
What do you got?
And we started 10 minutes late, so we'll go about 4 more minutes here. We'll give you guys your hour. Team most likely to go worst to first in the division this year. I got the standings up.
Oh yeah, I just logged out.
I got you. There we go.
Worst to first, okay. Keep going up. Keep going up. Keep going up.
I think we're both going to pick the same team.
Keep going
there's only
up.
one team that's really realistic, in my opinion.
Oh God, it's got to be the Bengals.
Yep, I think that's the only team I could think of too. That's
got to be.
It has to be.
Has to.
It's the only one.
And you know what? As hard as that division is, by the time the whole season is all said and done, it could easily be 2 games separating between first place and last place.
Yeah, I mean, last year you had 3 teams out of that division make the playoffs. Almost the Steelers just missed it too. Almost at 4.
I know.
I mean, would that shock you if you had 3 out of that division again?
No, it would not shock me.
And that's the Giant. That's a division that the Giants are going to have to contend with here, which is
fun.
Is not easy. I'm with you. So, okay, so we're both going Bengals for worst to first.
Yeah.
All right, a couple pieces of stuff.
We got a couple. You want to grab another call? We got phones ringing.
We only got 3 minutes.
Okay.
I don't want to shortchange the caller. So
okay. Sorry, guys.
Back in. We got 3 more days of shows. Call in. We'll get you in. A couple things, folks.
Yeah.
We're always looking for show ideas in the off season. So call in. Let us know what you're thinking, what your ideas are. You can call and give us ideas. Tweet at us if you have ideas, or I'll start looking at the Big Blue Kickoff Live Gmail account again. So it's bigbluekickoff@gmail.com. Send in any questions you have, ideas for theme shows, contests,
sure,
anything like that. Or if you have specific questions that you work during the day, you can't call in, but you want your question answered and you need a longer form question to send an email. It's bigbluekickoff@gmail.com. Send it in. We'll be happy to take your questions there. At some point, I'm not on the rest of the week. Paul's got Matt a couple days, and he's got Cross for 1 day this week. At one point next week, Paul and I will do our look back at the 2021 draft. We have 3 seasons under our belts for that year now. So this is not just Giants related. We've done that a million times.
Right.
We do the draft in totality. Let's take a look, Paul, at what players have succeeded, which ones haven't. And we even go to 2020, maybe we'll find some common cause to either figure out where we did well, where we made mistakes, and what we can learn from our processes.
Indeed.
Now that we have 3 or 4 seasons in the book for those 2 rookie classes, you kind of really have a feel now for what those players
Rule
are.
number 1, don't get your players hurt.
Right. And I already took a quick glance at it today. That is a theme.
Sure it is. There's no question about it.
But so we'll do that at some point. Later on in the week, Paul and Howard, they'll be with you on Thursday. We're going to do our rankings of Giants position groups, all right? So we're going to take the Giants position groups, O-line, running back, wide receiver, tight end, quarterback, edge, interior defensive line, off-ball linebacker, corner, safety. We're literally going to rank them, folks, 1 through 11, from where we think the strongest group is to where we think the weakest group is. So Paul and Howard will do their rankings on Thursday.
Yep.
Matt and I are together next Monday. We'll do our rankings on Monday. We'll keep track of that, and I think that'll be 2 interesting pieces of conversation. And last year, actually, when Lance and I did that, I had the wide receiver group as my worst. He had the wide receiver group as his second best. So we did have some disagreement because, Lance, he loves the depth. So he's all about the depth.
Well,
so we had some disagreements, and I think it's fun to have those conversations.
The funny part is, this wide receiver room, as it stands this morning, could be on the back end of the depth chart, very, very competitive.
Correct.
Very competitive.
And then, of course, we'll do our position ranking groups in the NFC East again like we usually do. We'll go group by group and figure out where the teams
We got a lot
rank,
coming up,
division by
folks.
division, all that. And any ideas you have, folks, please call in. I'm trying to steal ideas from other podcasts that I listen to give us some fun stuff to talk about. So make sure you continue to tune in to Big Blue Kickoff Live. We'll miss some shows here or there for stuff going around here. We have, busy week of 4th of July. We're not going to have any shows. So just keep in mind, we'll be in and out a little bit less consistent, but we're still going to be pretty much with you every day. The office is open Monday through Friday at 12:30 on Big Blue Kickoff Live. So make sure you come in daily and check us out. And, of course, if you can't listen live, you can subscribe and find all of our shows on our podcast feed. Just search for Big Blue Kickoff Live on your favorite podcast platform. Real quick, Paul.
Yeah.
Tom, and you could talk more about this with Matt tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
But Tom Pelissero put out today that the Players Association wants to submit a change to the off-season program, which basically you wouldn't see the players in the building until the end of June, pretty much, and then you'd have a ramp-up to training camp. The way I kind of read it, it would be Phase 1 and Phase 2 of the off-season program,
right,
from the end of June, beginning of July to the start of training camp.
That's what it looks like.
No on-field competitive team stuff.
That's what it looks like.
And
it's a suggestion, by the way. It's a proposal.
It's
not
a
a rule.
Collectively bargained.
Has to be
so
negotiated.
The players will have to give something up to get that.
18 games, John.
I think there's a little bit more to that conversation than that.
There probably will be, but that'll be part of it.
That'll be the first thing the league asks.
Without a doubt.
The first thing the league asks for.
Without a doubt.
Just real quick, it does, especially for younger players. That's bad for young players. It's bad for young players. They don't learn. They're not on the field figuring things out. For guys that have to learn by repping on the field, your reps are going to be. You have no team reps for all offseason. How are these young guys supposed to get better? It hurts the offensive line play an awful lot because you can at least work the mental part of that game with guys on the field together. And then from a selfish perspective, folks, and I'm just going to put you guys in the seats of coaches and front office personnel, you have off from the 3rd week of June to the 3rd week of July right now. You basically get a month. That's your month off if you work in the NFL world. There is no other time off, folks. You go end of the season, Senior Bowl, Combine, free agency,
pro
draft,
days,
schedule, OTAs, minicamp. That is literally January to the middle of June. There is no break.
It's an 11-month calendar.
I mean, SciTac does this too. We go through our calendars and we can't find days off to take in the off season. There's too much stuff going on, except for that period from the 3rd week of June to the 3rd week of July. And that's when your kids are off from school. If you actually want to take trips with your kids or do anything with your family, that's the only time to do it. If players are now in the building for that, whatever family and personal life coaches and front office people had, which was already extremely limited anyway, you're taking it away. And it's frankly not fair. And it sucks. So I think this is going to be a very interesting conversation if the players bring this forward. And I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. And, of course, the rationale that they are already using is that they believe it will help reduce the injury count. That's their impetus for this. I don't know how you can mathematically prove that since they haven't used that system yet. How is it that you know that changing the offseason program is going to reduce injuries? It's a guess. It's a supposition.
It feels like a cell phone that the players are basically telling people that we're not trying to stay in shape from when they leave from minicamp to the beginning of training camp.
I don't want to like broad brush anything, but to me, without strong evidence that they don't have to support that theory, how could I support their proposal?
You could tell this is a veteran player suggestion.
You think?
And who has the most power in the union?
Bingo.
The veteran players, and this is where it came from. But again, I get where they're coming from. If I'm a veteran player, I wouldn't want to be here in May. You know the system. You don't got to do team stuff. You're fine. I get it. I understand the impetus.
Because their theory is that voluntary isn't really voluntary.
Right.
Right. So that's why that whole thing comes into play. Now, maybe.
Give players a chance to get better.
Yeah.
If you want to give the players a chance to get better, come here to get better, let them come here and get better. If you don't want to come here to try to get better, stay home.
That's it.
You can't get fined for it.
So
that's all I'm saying.
Which is why when players don't show up to a facility during the spring, you'll see coaches who say, I'm dealing with the players who are here.
Right.
It's voluntary. He doesn't have to be here. What's the point in talking about it?
For example.
But the writers will never let that alone. They keep picking at that scab.
Perfect example. Like Darius Slayton's not here. It's not killing him. It's his 3rd year in the offense. He's a veteran in the league. Does he get a ton out of these non-contact OTA team sessions? Probably not. Like, do I think Darius Slayton's going to have a worse year because he's not here in May? No.
I don't think so either.
But you know who is probably really helpful to be here in May? Malik Neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably real helpful for him.
I couldn't agree more.
And that's fine. Darius, you don't want to be here. That's cool. That's fine. I'm not holding against you. I get it. It's good. You can do whatever you want. But don't take those opportunities away from the younger players and the guys that want to be here with the coaches to get better, to give them the opportunity to do it. That's all I'll say.
I'm with you, John.
And I felt like it sounded like an old fogey there.
Isn't that great to have him actually be on my side of the fence for a change?
I sounded like a real old fogey there, and I apologize for that. But my thing is that, look, if guys want to come in and give them a chance to get better with the coaches, give them the chance. Don't take that away from them because you don't want to be here.
There was an awful lot of not only learning, but also some maturing that goes on during that first off season for every NFL rookie. And then after their rookie seasons, you will hear guys in this league who will constantly remind you that from year 1 to year 2 is another significant hurdle that they have to climb or jump over in their professional careers. If this were to go through, you are now damaging both that rookie spring and that spring after the rookie season.
And I'll throw one other thing out there, too. You know what else will get decimated by this suggestion? Community relations.
Oh, sure.
How much do these guys go and visit schools and spend time with kids at schools in April and May? Well, guess what? If people aren't showing up to camp to end of June, you know what's non-session?
They're scattered around.
There's no schools. There's no schools open. So how are you going to then have these interactions with the kids if there's no schools open?
And they're scattered around. You're right. You're right.
I think there are, and again, I understand the player's perspective. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I think there's going to be a lot of unintended consequences from this type of thing. And again, they're going to have to give something back to get this to go through.
18 games, John.
So
18 games.
We'll see how it goes.
18 games.
For Paul Dottino, I'm John Schmeelk. Thank you to Matt for handling the board today. We appreciate it. We'll be back tomorrow with Big Blue Kickoff Live, Sitek and Dottino. And we'll continue to talk Giants football with you. We'll see you then, everybody. Adios.
Tired of restless nights? At Leesa, we know good sleep is essential for mental, physical, and emotional health. From memory foam mattresses to hybrids that keep you cool all night long, Leesa's mattresses offer exceptional comfort and support with free delivery and 100 nights to try out your mattress in the comfort of your home. For a limited time, save up to $700 off select mattresses plus 2 free pillows. Go to leesa.com/iHeart for an additional $50 off mattresses and select goods. Exclusions apply. See leesa.com for more details.
All right, so Father's Day is coming up, and I'm already thinking, how can I spoil Alan? Because he never does anything for himself. So I'm thinking maybe a golf outing, or how about a new wardrobe maybe? And maybe not all black. That's why I'm so excited about this new partnership. JCPenney and country music singer-songwriter Walker Hayes are partnering together on a new limited-time men's collection for the everyday guy. This exclusive limited-time men's collection with a laid-back, down-home vibe is perfect to gift the father figure in your life. This Father's Day, iHeartRadio and JCPenney want to celebrate the father figure in your life by gifting a $1,000 Visa gift card to put towards their favorite activity, like a round of golf, concert tickets, fishing trip, etc., and a $500 JCPenney gift card to snag some of the exclusive pieces from the Walker Hayes for JCPenney collection. Enter now to make this the best Father's Day ever for the father figure in your life at iHeartRadio.com/Father's Day sweepstakes. JCPenney, make it count.